What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Paving the Way, and I'm your host, Daniel Wright, and I appreciate you tuning in today. Guys, I am going to jump right freaking into it because I am coming off the backside of a top contractor school call that we had this afternoon, and I am wanting to just go ahead and continue my thoughts on the off season. All right, guys. As always, I hope everything that you're aiming for so far this year is going well. I hope that if you've gotten off the wagon, you figured out how to get back on it, and I hope you figured out where exactly you're trying to get yourself this year. And that literally leads me right into what I'm going to talk about right now, which is the off season. Okay, so this is a little bit more industry specific. Or trade specific or whatever it may be. But nonetheless, I think we can all relate that there are times in our careers, in our businesses, in our industries, whatever it is we may do for our occupations. There are always going to be times where we have what is considered the off season or a slow season or a downtime or things like that. Whether you're in retail, whether you're in restaurants, whether you're in sports, whether you're in paving, grading, weed control, whatever it may be, there are going to be slow seasons. I believe, and this is something that I have come to believe very, very, very passionately over the last probably 1 to 2 years. I believe that what you do in the off season will directly correlate with the results you get in the on season. So when things are kicking, when things are going, everything that you have done during the slow time, the downtime, the off season, whatever it may be, whatever you've done during that time will be directly reflected into how you perform during the good time. And as I mentioned, I just had a call with the top contractor school group, and this is something that, it was an open forum sort of a call this week, and there was a couple things going on. I kind of like started the conversation like, hey, what is everybody doing right now to better prepare for when the season picks up? For us, seal coating, a big service that we offer, we can only do about April through November or so due to weather. And so that's our big ticket thing. It's the thing that eats up most of our time. It generates the most revenue. It takes the most manpower, things like that. But what are we doing right now to best prepare for that time, right? We have other things such as team members who are in seasonal positions right now. They're ready to work. They're not looking, they're not off collecting unemployment. They're working part-time jobs or odd jobs, things like that to supplement income until we get busier again. So what are we doing right now in this off season, in this slow season to best prepare for as we start picking up pace? And one of the things that was mentioned that I want to pass along is the preventative maintenance things, right? So we've all had it where in our businesses or in our companies, in our jobs, where something comes up that's like we just have to put a Band-Aid on it, whatever that Band-Aid may be. The example that was used in the call was, we don't want to be shut down and hauling equipment because we have to replace one of the boards on the trailer. So come March, April, May, when we're ready to go and we need to load up and head to a job site, we don't want to be held up because we didn't replace that board in January or February when we were all just doing maintenance around the shop. So what specific things did you have to maybe put a Band-Aid on or say, hey, we'll get to that when we get a minute or when we get some maintenance days or things like that? What are the things that you're working on right now operationally to best set you up for success? Whether it is the trailer maintenance, the equipment maintenance, the training on those equipment pieces, building out the training platform. So that way, when you hire more people, that you already have the training established for it. Because there's nothing worse than trying to train somebody how to do something in the middle of a shitstorm. Because you're already busy, you're already backed up, you're already under the gun, whatever it may be, and you're now trying to train somebody to do it. So why not build the training platforms, build the videos, build the instruction manuals now when you have the slower time, when you have the time on your hands to be able to better prepare for when it comes. So another one that we talked about was from a sales perspective. What are we doing now to best prepare ourselves for when we are able to perform more scopes of work? Well, one of the ideas that was brought up was lunch and learns. Go out to, go and offer ideas or education and things like that to your clients. Let's face it, nobody's going to turn down a free meal. So if you have clients out there where maybe you have a group of property managers, if you have an office or, HOAs or whatever it may be, host a meal. Host something. Everybody loves to break bread. And it's not going to be that you host it just so you can show up and give them a pitch about your company, right? Let's all use the age-old mantra of seek first to understand and then be understood. So maybe you use the food offer to say, hey, we'd like to come in and get to know you guys a little bit better. Whether you're a returning client and you're already in our database and you say, hey, I want to just get to know you better. I mean, heck, we just did that this week with one of our clients and a new property manager in their company. We went out to lunch with them to just break bread and get to know each other a little bit better. Continue building those relationships. But when you do those lunch and learns, it's not just going and showing up to just tell those folks all about you and your company and what you can offer. But how about you learn about what they need, what they want, what they like, what's important to them? Can you even serve them? Are you compatible with them? Are they the type of client that you want to work with, that fits your portfolio, that you are best capable of serving? Get those things figured out. Because as the weather breaks, as the opportunities come about, whatever that thing is that gets you out of your off season into your on season, as that time comes, you're going to be better prepared to serve them. And that will do nothing but benefit you and them alike. And it can make everybody happier and move things along much faster. The other side of that is really defining what your business model looks like. I know we talked about this, and I'm not going to get into the whole goals and strategies and things like that. We've already established that on previous episodes. But nonetheless, you should be spending the time now when you have more of a clear brain, a clear idea of what the last year looked like and what you want this year to look like, because you should have already maybe established some goals or some targets at this point. You should take the time now to really define, what do we want to consist of? What is our strategy going to be to achieve these goals? How do we want that to look? How do we want that to feel? How do we want to be, how do we want to portray ourselves to our own team, to our clients, to our vendors, to our competitors, to our community, whatever it may be? And so you really want to spend this time right now, not just kicking your feet up, waiting for the phone to ring. Right, that was mentioned on the call. Is it's disappointing when we see contractors, when we see business owners who are in that slow season, like, well, guess we'll just hang out here until the phone rings. If you want to be mediocre, if you want to just get by, if you want to be somebody who does not live up to your potential, then sure, kick your feet up and wait for the phone to ring. Because I can promise you that's exactly what you'll get, is a mediocre life, one that is not enjoyable, not fulfilling, and not one that you're going to be proud to tell everybody about. Because I can tell you right now, if you're listening to this, if you're still here, 8 minutes into this podcast right now, then you have the drive, you have the motivation, you have the desire, you have the discipline to make things happen. And the time that you don't have to be doing anything, and when instead you choose to do those things, that's what's going to make the difference. That's what's going to set you apart from your competitors. That's what's going to make you look good to your clients and to the people that you want to work with. Because, yeah, they may know that, hey, we can't seal coat our entire shopping center right now, but Daniel and his team at Proline, they're on board with trying to help us prepare for this. Because let's face it, parking lot projects, big capital projects, big maintenance projects, when it's time to pull the trigger on them, it's a headache. Nobody likes doing them. Nobody likes logistically planning them. Nobody likes, notifying people of the inconveniences they're going to encounter. So whatever it may be for you and your company, your industry, your occupation, like when you do the things that you need to do, nobody necessarily always likes to do them. They like the result. They like getting past it. But the more that you can plan now, the more that you can prepare now to better serve them, the smoother it is, the better the experience is, the more appreciative that your team is for preparing properly, the more appreciative your client is for preparing properly. So if we kind of round this conversation off, talking about the off season, if we want to compare it to athletes, because most of us all know that, professional sports, or college sports, whatever sports, you have your seasons where you're playing, where you're training constantly, you're playing the games, you're performing, so on and so forth. And then you do have your off season. You have your time where you're not having to play every Sunday or every Saturday or whatever it may be. And so that's the time to rest, to strategize, to build, to prepare, to plan, right? One of the analogies that was brought up was Black Monday in the NFL, which is the first Monday after the regular season ends and head coaches start getting fired. Right. So the front office, the executives, the GMs, things like that, they're making moves immediately after the season ends. Immediately after the busy time stops, they are making moves. they won't see the fruits of those moves. They won't see the results of those moves until, July, once training camp starts and once the team starts, rolling and seeing how they're meshing and seeing what progress is being made. And that's just the preliminary results. They won't see the actual results until the season starts, so until later into the year, once they actually start playing the games. So, like I mentioned, whatever industry you're in, wherever you're at, all of us coming out of the holidays, coming out of Christmas and New Year and things like that, we all are in a little bit of a down season, an off season, a slow time. Retail, you're slow because everybody just maxed out their credit cards before Christmas. Restaurants, you're slow because everybody just spent all their money before Christmas. So people are eating at home, whatever it may be. We're all experiencing a little bit of a slow time, and that's okay as long as you're taking this time to build, to produce, to persevere through that. Because I'll tell you right now, if you were talking to Daniel Wright from, let's say back in 2019, winter of 2019, I spent most of my winter days hanging out with a buddy of mine in his shop, talking about how we will build business, what we should be doing, what we could be doing. He was working. It was kind of his busy season, so he has a different time of slow season. So I was spending time there, maybe helping with some odds and ends. But I was like, man, it's just slow. The phone's not really ringing much. And now, fast forward 4 years from that, 5 years from that, 2019 to 2024, I've got 16 people on our team that depend on this company, that depend on this brand, because they depend on us for financial stability. They depend on us for emotional stability. They depend on us for an opportunity to have purpose and fulfillment in what they do day in and day out. And so now that we have a company where people depend on us, there is no sitting around just waiting for the phone to ring. There is no sitting around and just, oh, well, I guess it's just slow. We'll be here when they call. That doesn't happen. And I can promise you that right now there is somebody, whether you are a one-man show, one-woman show, whatever it may be, or whether you're an organization of hundreds of people, there is somebody somewhere counting on you to make this work. And so my encouragement to you is, as you're sitting around waiting for the slow season, the off season to pass, that you spend your time building, you spend your time developing yourself personally, professionally, spiritually, fit, from your fitness, anything like that you can to make yourself a better version of you that will in turn make you a better company for the people who count on you. That's what I encourage you to be doing right now. So the off season, in my opinion, is the time to build. That is when you're going to make the most progress. You have the least amount of distractions, and you can take massive steps forward. So I hope that's some encouragement to you guys today. I hope it's not a little bit too fiery, but actually if it is fiery for you, then, well, I guess you needed it. So appreciate you guys.